Hello, flamingos, and welcome to Disrupting Obesity. I'm Charlotte Skanes, and I lost over 200 pounds without surgery, without fads, and without hating myself through the process. I'm here to help you unlearn what the diet industry has been feeding you and to talk about what it actually takes to lose weight and keep it off. I want to help you make real mindset shifts and start to build trust with yourself again, all while giving you the tools that you'll need to do it, but without losing yourself or your mind in the process. It might be Monday, but we're not starting over. So brace yourself, Gladys, and let's get into it. This is episode number 128. It is the third part in our Weight Loss Never series. Today, we're going to take a look at number 7, 8, and 9. The seventh thing that you should never do when you're trying to lose weight is never eat when you're not hungry. Okay, and I understand that some people might think that one's a no-brainer, and there might be some people sitting there right now going, what do you mean don't eat when you're not hungry? I only eat when I feel hungry. Okay, cool. Hit the 2 times speed button or the fast forward or something and just move along to number 8. Take your time. The rest of us will be here and it'll be fine. And I'm being serious. There are people that might not apply to. The rest of us, though, hang on for just a minute and stay here with me on this number 7 thing you should never do if you're trying to lose weight. You really shouldn't be eating if you're not hungry. Learning to not eat when I wasn't hungry, so to only eat when I was hungry, was a huge shift for me. And it was very hard. And it took a long time. The first time I lost my weight, when I dropped the 201 pounds, I didn't really understand all of the relationship with food stuff. That took the gaining it back, and then not all of it, but more than half, and then the whole almost dying thing, and then having to re-lose it. I needed that perspective, and I needed those experiences for all of the pieces to be able to fall into place here. So I didn't really have a handle on it. So even when I got to my goal weight, I feel like that was something that I was still struggling with just a little bit, because I was so used to eating. I can think of 100 reasons other than hunger that would make me eat, or scenarios or issues, or I had this thought, I saw that commercial, somebody over there mentioned Arby's, and now it's all I can think of, and my nearest one was like an hour away. The next thing you know, I'm in my car. That type of eating when you're not hungry, that stuff. And I'm not alone. And I know with 100% certainty that I am not alone on this one. A lot of us struggle with eating food when we're not hungry, with eating food because it's there, because we want to eat it, for all of the reasons that I listed a second ago, like food noise and hearing about it, and the power of suggestion, all of that other stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with physical hunger whatsoever. And this isn't me invalidating that. So if this is your first episode, please go back and listen to some of the talk that I've done on emotional eating and why emotional hunger rather, is a very, very real thing. I believe that's actually one of the 101 weight loss truths. Emotional hunger is real. It is very real. You're experiencing it. That makes it a real thing. It's not a figment of your imagination. But there is a difference between physical hunger, my body needs to eat, and emotional hunger, the me that lives inside my body needs to eat. And I do think that there's room to feed both of those things. I am not the person ever sitting here telling you that your end goal should be, I'm no longer an emotional eater. I don't eat for emotional reasons at all. Well, that's not a goal for anybody. Healthy weighted people eat for emotional reasons all the time. Everybody does. The goal shouldn't be to shut that down or to walk away from it. The goal is to have that within reason, to have it operating within normative limits, so that you don't end up in a situation where you're doing a whole bunch of unnecessary eating, or in a situation where you've gained your weight, you can't lose your weight, the weight's coming back on. However you find yourself, that's not the goal. I just want to see the emotional eating manageable. And to make it manageable, you need to be aware of what's going on. That also means you need to be aware of things like your hunger cues, and you need to be able to recognize, hey, wait a minute, I'm eating this right now but I don't have any physical hunger at all. So what's actually going on? Is it situational? Is it a power of suggestion thing? Is it a food noise thing? Is it a response to an emotion that you're having or that you had? What's actually going on? I'm not arguing to shut the process down. I'm asking you to question it. I'm asking you just to hit pause, look at it and go, okay, wait, what am I doing? That's all I'm asking for. And any time that you're eating and you're not physically hungry, you need to know the reason why. You need to know what is going on. And it's okay if the answer is I'm eating right now because I'm bored. Rock on. Just be aware of it. That's all I'm arguing for at this point. The problem, I think, for a lot of us lies in finding ourselves in these situations where we've finished eating all of this food and we're just left with the guilt and the remorse, the shame, and feeling like shit about ourselves with no, like, what happened? It's so much harder to stop a pattern if you don't understand how it happened, because you need to stop it in those early stages, right? It's too late after the food is eaten, after, the toothpaste is out of the tube, the milk has been spilled. It's too late. It's over. We can feel bad about it all day, but that's not going to help us do anything about it next time. And please, I just want to add in this moment, I just want to add that please don't think that you need to be aware of it before it happens, like that's just going to happen, because that's not how awareness works. What will happen, whether it's unnecessary eating, binge eating, but whether it's eating to feed whatever emotion, when you're eating and you're not hungry, you're not going to notice that right away. You're just going to be, you're going to have the after part. Okay. Pay attention to the after part. That's when you're going to notice, oh shit, I just went off the rails. Once you bring up your awareness enough, you're going to start to notice it midstream. Oh, okay, I understand what's going on right now. I'm eating and I'm not hungry, but I'm still eating. Okay, at least I caught myself while I was doing it this time. You catch yourself after, then you catch yourself while, then you start to have the awareness of it before it comes. But again, you can't change what you can't see. You've got to take a look at this stuff so that you can hit the point where you do see things before they happen, as opposed to seeing them midstream or just dealing with it after the fact. And instead of beating yourself up for it, focus on the awareness part. Focus on the, okay, I'm going to figure this out. Instead of sitting here feeling bad about myself and just going over this again and again and again, which is what I typically do, which just leads to what? It leads to worse eating, not better eating. Instead of beating myself up, I'm going to acknowledge what happened. Yeah, okay, shit. I went completely off the rails here. I wasn't even hungry and I ate all that stuff. I ate 800 calories, 1200 calories, 2000, whatever. I ate all this stuff. Not my finest moment, but the milk spilled. And here I am. I could sit here right now and beat myself up for it and make myself feel worse. And I know what the end result of that is. Or I can try to figure out how this happened. How did I end up here? What was I thinking about before I started doing all this? What kind of a day did I have? How did I end up eating the entire box of whatever? And it really is okay not to know. The I don't know is a totally natural first response here. You're not going to know. You're not going to know until you start looking at it. And the answers probably aren't going to come easily, because there's a part of you that doesn't want you to find the answers because of the little self-sabotage goblin guy, right? Because it knows, and by it, I mean a part of you knows, that if you do figure this out, things are going to change, and change is scary. And we like eating. And if you figure out the reasons behind your eating, what's that going to do? Well, it's probably going to slow the eating down, which part of you doesn't want. So we meet resistance, right? This is when you're at war with yourself. Try not to get too caught up in the details of it and too bogged down in the negative feelings, and try to view stuff as neutrally as you can. All right, I'm going to acknowledge it. I fucked it up, but I'm going to do better next time. And I'm going to figure out how to do better next time based on what I learned from this time. And when you find yourself reaching for food, ask yourself, am I hungry right now? In my program, I have people ask themselves, which who is hungry? Am I hungry, the me that lives inside of my body? Or is my body hungry? Which who is hungry? Am I physically hungry or am I emotionally hungry? And you have to start making that distinction first before you can dive down into the deeper work. And honestly, your knee-jerk reaction, like 9 times out of 10 initially, is probably going to be, oh, of course I'm physically hungry. Duh. Why else would I be eating? Okay, well, are there any other signs of hunger other than persistent food noise? Because persistent food noise does not hunger make. Just because your brain won't shut up about food, that doesn't mean that your body needs food. And you can fight back against that with facts. Go through your day's tracking. Okay, I know I feel hungry right now, but I've eaten 3/4 of my calories so far today, and it's 6 o'clock in the evening. So is it physical hunger? Or am I just reaching for something for another reason that is presenting like hunger right now? Because I have trained myself to eat when I feel emotionally hungry. It's going to take time. Be patient with yourself. Number 8 can get me into a fair bit of trouble, and I didn't think it would. I'm starting to understand why more now. But number 8 is don't eat food you don't like. Yeah, don't. You only have a finite number of calories each day. Why would you waste any of them on food that you don't actually want to be eating? And I'm not talking about the food that, you get caught up in, the mindless munching, the unnecessary eating, the binge type behaviors. That's not what I mean. No, no. I mean, when you're doing your meal planning and stuff, and when you're like cooking your dinner or your breakfast, or it really doesn't matter, whatever it is, why are you eating food you don't like? Why? I understand the pressure. I get that there are foods out there right now that some people are obsessed with and think that you have to be getting in X number of your calories from this and X number from that, and everybody should be having kale smoothies and avocado toast and quinoa and whatever else. If you don't like it, why are you eating it? And okay, I hear you. Well, I'm eating it to lose weight. Okay, one, how sustainable is this going to be? Because you have to ask that question, and you have to be realistic with yourself about how long it's actually going to take you to lose your weight. And I know we all say that we're going to lose 5 pounds a week and we're going to have this done lickety split and tickety boo. The reality is you're looking at, if you're doing exceptionally well, an average of a pound a week, maybe a pound and a half, maybe, but it's not going to go as fast as you want it to. So let's say it's a pound a week and you have 50 pounds to lose. Okay, if you lose a pound every single week, which nobody loses their weight in a straight line, we've established that one. If you lose 50 pounds, it's going to take you almost a year. It's going to take you a year. So can you do it for a year? Can you keep eating that food that you don't like for a year? That's my question. But it's not just that year. We have an 85% recidivism rate that tells us very clearly it's not just that year. You don't have to just keep choking down that kale and quinoa for this next year until you get to your goal weight. A couple problems are going to happen. One, you're going to get to your goal weight and you're going to have fewer calories than you're used to having. And it's going to be, if you've just been forcing yourself to eat food you don't like the whole time to meet that caloric goal, and now all of a sudden you don't have to eat that diet food anymore. You can eat whatever you want because you've lost your weight and you're at your goal weight, but you don't have the calories that you used to. And the only way that you got to that goal weight was with quinoa and the kale that you don't like. How are we going to keep it off? What's the plan for that? Because you need a plan for that. Maintenance mode needs a plan. It needs a mindset. It isn't just, I'm going to lose my weight and then I'm going to carry on with the rest of my life consequence free and everything's going to be gravy. I wish it was. I really do. I wish there were no mindset holdovers. I wish there weren't things like body image issues and loose skin and things not feeling the way that you thought that they were going to feel about yourself once you got to your goal weight. That emotional stuff is all still going to be there if you don't start dealing with it. And you can deal with it while you're losing your weight, or you can deal with it after you lose your weight. And I don't think that it's harder to do it after you've got to your goal weight. It's just that it's a different process, but it's just as frustrating to try to do it once you're at maintenance mode as you're trying to do it when you are losing your weight. Eating food you don't like just to get to a number on a scale isn't a sustainable plan physically or mentally. I mean, there are the issues with, the deprivation mindset and going too restrictive and how that can lead to unnecessary eating. It can lead to binges. It can lead to falling off the rails completely, just saying, screw it, packing it in. And that's the end of the diet and the whole weight loss journey. And that's definitely not where you want to be. Okay. And this is the part where we're going to talk to Gladys for a second, because I know And even not just Gladys, because I honestly, I think this is reasonable. There are going to be people out there going, yeah, but shouldn't the goal be to be incorporating more nutrient dense foods and, the healthier, we'll use that word. I prefer nutrient dense, but just for, clarity and stuff, we'll say healthier. I'm using air quotes for anybody who's listening. The more nutrient dense choices. Shouldn't it be a goal of mine to incorporate more nutrient dense choices? Absolutely. I wholeheartedly believe that that should be a goal. And depending on where you are with your weight loss, it could be a goal right now to start incorporating new foods and trying new things, new fruits, new vegetables, new whole grains, new insert however you define healthier here. I define it as nutrient dense. You put in your definition. Yeah, that should totally be a goal, but it's not the be all and the end all. And I think the reality is that if you're dealing with obesity, if you're dealing with, it doesn't even have to be long-term obesity, but if you're dealing with obesity, you have bigger fish to fry. And there is such a thing as taking on too much too soon. Let's get the calories under control with what you're eating now before we start worrying about overhauling it completely. It's very important to meet yourself where you are. And it's very important that you do that as you're bringing more nutrient dense foods into your life. I have a problem with textures. I'm not that keen on a ton of vegetables, especially cooked ones. So I found ways to tiptoe in to eating more vegetables, to trying new things. I had what I thought of as like gateway vegetables that were like cucumbers, super neutral, right? And you can use it with a lot of different dips. And snap peas, also very neutral, which kind of led to red peppers. You can build on things and you can incorporate new things. But if you're going from eating a less nutrient dense diet, from eating more processed foods, for example, to all of a sudden trying to just eat that way, not tenable. Still very much a good idea, but let's do it incrementally as opposed to throwing ourselves into the deep end of the pool here. So now that we've addressed that part, let's get back to the part of this that really matters. Why are you wasting the calories? Why are you wasting calories on food you don't like when you could be using those calories with food that you do like, with food that brings you joy, with food that you feel passionately about? And this is where you have to learn to balance physical satisfaction and emotional satisfaction. Yeah, eating something less nutrient dense might not be as physically satisfying over the long haul, but it might be more emotionally satisfying over the long haul. It might help shut down food noise and make it easier for me to keep making better choices for the rest of the day. So I might choose that less nutrient dense thing in that moment, knowing full well, no, I'm not going to feel full 3 hours from now like I would if I just had a bowl of plain potatoes. But I'm also not going to be sitting here thinking about chocolate for the next 6 days. Our last thing that you should never do when you're trying to lose weight today is number 9. And this is a mistake that I see a lot of people making. Number 9 is never only focus on the long game. You can't. I know that big overriding goal can be so motivating and so inspiring. I'm going to lose 40 pounds. I'm going to lose 110 pounds. It's inspiring and it's motivating, but it's also intimidating. It can also stop you dead in your tracks. It can be motivating at first and then just turn into a giant weight that you're trying to carry around all the time because the pressure is so big and you're losing an average pound a week and you've got 100 pounds to lose in 2 years feels like a really long time when you're trying to lose weight. I get it. You have to have other goals and not just scale goals. And I don't even just mean like the long term, not just scale goals. Like, boy, I really hope once I get to my goal weight, I can run a marathon or whatever. Yeah, that's super. I hope you do too. But I'm talking about micro goals. I'm talking about breaking that big number down and looking at it as, I'm really excited to get to 20 pounds. I'm really excited to get to the halfway point. I'm really excited to lose 5% of my body fat. There are other ways to look at and break down your weight loss journey, and it is 100% a mistake if the only thing that you're focused on is, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. It's not going to be enough. You've got to have other goals in there too. And I don't just mean, the non-scale victories. Like, I'm going to tie my shoes without getting winded, which is huge. I'm going to do stairs one step at a time. also massive. Don't just mean those. It's the smaller things, and it's the things that are harder to quantify. I wanted to be able to leave food on my plate, especially at restaurants, because I spent years, decades of my life clearing my plate, doing what I was told, making sure I ate it all for both it was what I was raised to do reasons, and this is really good food, and I just want to eat it, even though I know it's too much food, or even though I know I've blown my calories out the window. I just really want to eat this right now. I had years of that, decades of that. So I desperately wanted to be the person who could push their plate away while it still had food on it. I wanted to be able to not take seconds all the time. I wanted to be able to walk into a restaurant and sit down at an actual booth and not have a panic attack that I was going to get stuck. There were all kinds of little things that kept me focused as I got to that big goal of I'm going to lose 200 pounds. And when I got bogged down under the pressure and under the weight of I'm going to lose 200 pounds, it was those little things that kept me going. Next Monday, I will be back to wrap this series up with the last 2 things that you should never do when you're trying to lose weight. Wednesday, I will be back with another Weight Loss Wednesday answering your questions. Please keep sending them in. They're amazing, and I love hearing from you guys. Thank you for listening, and thank you for doing the work. This isn't easy, but you're still here, and that counts. It matters. You're showing up. If you've subscribed, shared, or left a review, thank you. It really does help more than you know, and it also makes it easier for other women to find this podcast so they feel a little less alone on their journey. If you want more support, resources, or info on the program or the membership, check out disruptingobesity.com or come see what I'm up to over on Instagram. You know where to find me. Come tell me how I can be helpful. And in the meantime, keep trying, keep tracking, don't be intimidated, and don't give up. You've totally got this.